Apricity, gentle sunlight on a frosty day. A reminder that even in the darkest times, light and hope are never far away. In this adventure through shadowed paths and ancient ruins, you'll find that even in the bleakest moments, there will always be a light to lead you home.
My name's Ben. I'm the creative mind behind Roguelike Games, and I'm here to take you on a journey from this to this. So if you're into eerie, immersive adventures, then you're in the right place. Join me on our journey into indie game development. Like, subscribe, and follow our progress. I am captivated by atmosphere. From the eerie calm of a distant storm to a haunting moonlit night. I want to create a game that evokes the same sense of wonder and unease. A journey through ancient canals, dense forests, and crumbling castles, filled with danger and discovery. They say, write what you know. And so I've built what's around me. Apricity has taken a lot of inspiration from my surroundings. I live in the heart of the Cotswolds and right near the Welsh border, so I am surrounded by ancient castles and historic waterways. These magical sites are what inspired the premise for Apricity, and the winding canals make perfect sense for an explorative roguelike. In Apricity, every biome is like a suit in a deck of cards, with each level being a card face. Levels are dealt randomly, but one biome at a time. This system lets us craft a smaller number of levels, while still keeping the experience fresh and engaging. Canal locks were an obvious inclusion. They not only function as our shop area, where players can trade the souls that they've earned for power-ups and other important resources, but they should be a small, immersive level that gives the player some choice in their journey. I hope by making this choice an interactive 3D environment that it feels more significant. It's a chance for the player to sort of step back from the combat and plan ahead. Each path, however, should come with its own challenges. But that is for another devlog. It didn't take me long to realize that this project was way too big to do by myself. Enter Ian, my partner in crime.
Hey, I'm Ian. I first met Ben at university and we worked together on our final project. But we don't really want to talk about that. When Ben invited me to join, I had to learn Unreal 4 from scratch. My first task? Building an item management system. I used unique item codes to optimize data handling, which became crucial for our inventory and storage systems. This system also powers our item pickups, essential for the gameplay loop. These pickups give players powerful, temporary boosts, vital for overcoming tougher enemies.
So one of the main systems in Apricity is the mushrooms. They're important because they're tied into the farming and they're tied into the gameplay. So they do two things for us, and they're our main power-up, and they're also our main progression system. There's a trade-off in the game between using them on a run or saving them to take back to home and then craft them for something a bit more powerful. So it's like, instant effect against long-term goals. And we needed something that was going to have its own visual language in the world, something that people could quickly learn and identify with. And we ended up with mushrooms. The way we sort of tried to work towards making this a bit of a visual language started on paper, lots of sketching, and then quite a few like AI ideas as well to just get some of the visuals down. And it all came back to the basics. Shape language, pointy things are scary, soft things are not scary. So soft things go on the healing items and the damage up items get like a pointy blade-like form. And we did the same thing with colour. We've got a nice soft sort of creamy yellow colour, and that's going to be our healing for the game. And then we're going to use things like greens for poison and that represent the forest and stuff like that. And then of course we go to winter, got lovely blues, winter, slow, icy, chilly, and it all built up from there. We're aiming for a suggested realism, somewhere between Coraline, Nightmare Before Christmas, and Hotel Transylvania. Creepy meets cute. Think stylized yet grounded, but with an eerie, inviting charm. Suggested realism hints at reality without full detail, blending realism with your imagination. Our art style draws inspiration from Studio Ghibli's beautiful films, and then we add our own twist. We fill the environments with lots of blended details, and we keep focal points such as characters and mushrooms in a more cel-shaded style. If we do this right, we should achieve clear gameplay against an aesthetically pleasing background. With the same goal in mind, the environment's colour palette will be primarily analogous, with some complementary colour.
When shaping Apricity's world, I was inspired by the charming and disproportionate environments in games like Zelda, Link's Awakening, and Pokemon. This approach that they use creates a whimsical and distinct visual style that's both cute and also quite functional. By scaling the small objects up and the large objects down, we established this new baseline where everything feels equally important. This not only adds to the game's visual charm, but also it enhances the gameplay. We can emphasize key elements when needed, fitting more of the world into view, and subtly guiding players towards hidden paths and secrets. This design choice helps make obstacles and paths more distinct, allowing players to navigate the world, hopefully with some ease. The goal is to create a seamless experience where players can focus on the adventure and the combat without hopefully getting lost or frustrated. If I haven't made it obvious already, castles are super important to the world of Apricity. After a lot of trial and error, I realized that making something unique for each place that inspires me was pretty much impossible, and a journey that would never end. I need something efficient, dynamic, and easy to work with. So this is what I came up with. Essentially, it's just a series of different shaped blobs, and I stuck some bricks in it. Calling it a modular pack is probably going a little too far, but it really is amazing what you can do with some simple shapes. My love for castles is only really rivaled by my love for trees and flowers, so it makes sense to start working on some of those. These were my first attempts, and most of them haven't actually made it into the game. Once I had some models down, I then used some shader magic to get things moving.
After some research, I decided to use the Unreal Behavior Tree for our enemies. It might be overkill for a basic AI, but it lets me easily add behavior trees like wandering, patrolling, and attacking without building a system from scratch. To interact with the AI, I built a simple combat system and synced it with Unreal's animations. This will let us chain a few swings together and perform a few simple combos.
Our level design draws inspiration from games like Hades, Pokemon, Diablo, and a whole bunch more. Our goal is to blend fast-paced action with strategic exploration. Games like Hades blend fast-paced combat arenas, and they intersperse it with brief, calming transitions. Think like the well and the shop areas. These breaks provide mental relief and maintain the excitement of the gameplay loop. Pokemon gives us a series of visible encounters that are scattered across the environment. The player can then choose when they engage or try and make their way around. Pathways hint at secret and future challenges, and they use verticality to tease the upcoming gameplay. This design keeps players moving forward, guiding them from one point to the next. After building some levels and getting our hands on testing them in-house, we managed to come up with a list of rules that could guide us forward. Engagement proximity. Players should always be a dash or two away from an engaging activity. Structure and pathways. Short, clearly defined paths should connect interspersed arenas. Screen-sized arenas. Combat zones should fit within the screen space to prevent off-screen threats and allow quick entry or exit of the arena space. It should feel like a dungeon room. Reward visibility. Rewards should be visible in each camp so players know what they're playing for. Verticality. Flat is boring. Always incorporate vertical elements. Consistent challenge. The enemy count in each level should be similar, as well as the total playtime. And each level should begin with easier encounters, allowing players to acclimate before facing tougher challenges.
So the sanctuary is supposed to be the one safe place for the player in the game. And the original concept was kind of like the Garden of Eden. I got inspired by sort of like more biblical things, which isn't the road I wanted to go down for the game, but things like, I think when the devil left the Garden of Eden, his left footprint was where the garlic grew and his right was where onions grew, or something like that. And that sort of really tied into like the farming aspect and this like safe space. And so that's what it wanted to be thematically. This cozy place that's maybe part of a world that's more sinister. And then obviously it had to have a practical side to it. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we needed to include, like place to farm your mushrooms, place to sort of craft items and upgrades. Obviously a dock, so you can get on your boat, sail off. Somewhere to fish, so maybe you could learn how to do that. Probably, I think we ended up with target dummies as well, so you can actually practice your combos and things like that. And these led to like the NPCs, like the owl. So all those things, they need to be part of it. So try to sort of feng shui it a bit, have those laid out with the little cubes, that the space they might take up, and then laid that out first before actually diving in and building the sanctuary. It's still going to evolve. There's things that we haven't included yet. There's obviously things to improve. I think as we change things and add things to like the farming, we're going to put a water well and things like that, and that's gonna change how we space it out. So it's not the final iteration of it, but it's a good start. It's recently been brought to my attention by Captain Josh himself that the farming area was actually kind of identical to my parents' farming area, and I based it off of it without even realizing it. Now the farming's integral to Apricity. What I wanted to do wasn't just, hey, here's farming and hey, here's gameplay. They're connected. The main progression loop is farming. So you'll go out into the world and you'll fight these monsters and break down these destructibles to gather resources, bringing them back to your sanctuary, your home base, and you'll grow them, you'll farm them, you'll water them, you'll harvest them. And those items will turn into what we've coined our power-ups to be, which is called baked goods. And you'll have hopefully a really fun time with our LMPC cooking up all these weird, wonderful recipes. And that's how you progress further down the canal. You increase your power level with all these funky attacks and meteors and stuff like that from the sky by farming up wonderful things, eating them, and getting back on the canal and doing it again.
Hang on a minute. I think something's missing. Hi, I'm Josh, and my job in Apricity is bringing the world to life. Ben started off by asking me to do some music for the game. He left me with a Spotify playlist of various inspirations and a bunch of various moods that he wanted to invoke in the soundtrack, such as melancholy, excitement, explorational, whimsical, loneliness, and just a general forest atmosphere that's creepy and cartoony. After some development of my first track, it actually ended up being split into 2 different tracks, one for the home base and one for a spooky forest level. At this point, Ben extended his offer and asked me if I would like to do the rest of the game's audio, which I was like, yeah, of course. So I decided to go with my old pal Fmod. If you're new to the audio side of game development, I'll quickly explain what Fmod does. Fmod essentially provides you a bunch of tools and a new software to create adaptive audio for games. For example, if I want to create a footstep, I can create this thing called a multisound, which adds various different small sound files, and every time an event in Fmod is triggered, it randomly picks a sound from that multisound. If I want to adapt this audio one step further, I can also add pitch modulation. So every time the event is called, it will randomize the pitch, which just adds to the variety of the sounds that can come out of just one event. Fmod has loads of other super useful tools, such as variables that you can use in-game to control how the audio sounds. And well, it's basically just up to your creativity of what you can do with it. But the main reason I chose Fmod is simply just because it's the tool I had the most experience with. By the time I was doing sound effects, the game was already quite far into development when I joined, and it made my job really fun to bring this game to life. My process either starts with some initial ideas from the team, or just being left to my own creative devices to experiment and just discover how each enemy and each sound should sound like. Enemies are by far the most fun, but also the strangest one to hear from outside of my room. Later down the line, I started to learn more about the Niagara system within Unreal to create various visual effects. VFX adds so much to the game. They make each interaction satisfying and immersive by bringing a magical and mystical sense to everything you do within the world. It helps combat by adding more impact and visual indication of what's going on, and they're just sparkly and beautiful and see for yourself. Overall, VFX in combination with audio was a real game changer to further bring the game into fruition. If you want a deeper insight into my process of crafting audio or visual effects in Apricity, let me know in the comments and I'll make a separate video where I deep dive into my process.
If you've enjoyed this first peek into the world of Apricity, where battling gnomes and gathering magical mushrooms are all in a day's work, give us a like and check us out on Steam. Help us keep this adventure alive.